new report has ranked New South Wales as the country's worst performing economy. The state government is disputing the report, which says New South Wales is falling down in key areas such as home building starts, construction work, unemployment and economic growth. And George Negus has a bit to say about this.
I really couldn't care less who's got the best economy and the worst economy. I'd get rid of a lot of them. I mean, this is an Australian economy, guys. The economy doesn't suddenly stop at an imaginary line. Those silly lines mean nothing. This is an old hobby horse.
Yeah, hang on.
So you say abolish the states?
Abolish the states.
But also,
it's anti-status. They get in the way of good government, if you ask me. It's a haven for has-beens and would-be's if they could-be's, and hacks from political parties, and not much else.
So how the hell do you get rid of the states, though?
Just abolish them. Have a referendum at the next election and abolish them. I mean, I think we have
but
a
do you
map
realise how much states hate each other?
Yeah, well, the states and the federal governments hate each other. But one of the main reasons for having the states from the federal government's point of view is that who else would they blame when they get things wrong if they didn't have the states to blame? Have a look at this map. I defy anybody in this studio, on this panel or out there in our wonderful audience to tell me why those stupid lines that some drunken cartographer at the turn of the century came up with in the middle of the night with a felt pen. Yeah, but why those lines are where they are, Dave?
Well, the Victorian one is in New South Wales, that's the Murray River.
Yeah, except that they forgot that it doesn't rise at the coast. They had to put a straight line on the end of it.
Oh, but I thought it just got really straight then.
Yeah. But getting back to the blame game,
yep.
The normal Aussie, the average Aussie sitting at home watching this, does this actually stop the blame game if you just have a federal government?
Stop the blame game?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, does it make any difference where you live if it comes to health and education and housing and stuff like that? Does it really matter that those lines are there? I mean, we actually... I guess what I'm getting at is that we're pretending, we believe somehow, we've convinced ourselves that those totally irrational lines, and we've all admitted nobody knows why they are where they are. By the way, they did get Tasmania right. Because they couldn't get the damn thing wrong. You know, that's it.
But you and your madcap scheme, you're avoiding the question here, George. A hospital's going to be...
asker, I know how to avoid the answer.
But a hospital's going to be better if we just have a federal government. Is that going to solve everything?
Well, do people get sick differently from state to state? I mean, you need the same kind of medical treatment, you need the same kind of education. I know people identify with being a Queenslander or a New South Welshman or a Tasmanian.
I'm from WA, and, you know, if we abolish the states...
Carrie, nobody's perfect.
Well, no, then I'm saying that we wouldn't be able to complain that, you know, we get left out and stuff. That's part of your identity.
WA people complain more than anyone else. You guys actually want to be a separate country.
No,
that's a good idea.
So much crap that we have to.
Here's onto something. Either we get rid of the states altogether, just toss them away and have a federal government and regional governments that make sense, as distinct from those things there with those imaginary lines, or we turn every state into a separate country. Yay. And then they can have their own armies.
Yeah.
And when there's a dispute, we can go out and kill each other.
Wait.
In the name of statism.
So you're pushing a civil war. I think you're just doing this so you've got something good to cover. I just think you want to be at the front line, jacket over your shoulder, going, it's pretty tough out here in Kimberley.
How likely is it that it could happen?
Oh, very unlikely. I don't think I'm in a minority of one at the moment in this country. But seriously, I guess my basic point is we behave as though those lines make sense, and they don't. There is one good reason for having the Queensland-New South Wales border, I'll admit that. Even though it's a straight line and a squiggly bit, nobody can tell you about the squiggly bit. How else would you have a State of Origin football series? That's the only good reason I can think of for having it. But seriously, it's one of those things that we haven't really talked about, we very seldom talk about, and I think we should. We might end up with a country that's governed a little bit more sensibly.
I think if you genuinely asked anyone, do they like their state politicians, they would say, no, we'd be better off without them.
Well, that's probably another reason for keeping them, that gives people something to whinge about. We didn't have our politicians to criticise and whinge about. Who the hell would we have? And the more politicians, therefore, the more people to whinge about, even though they're no good at what they do.
I think we've got to take a break. George will probably keep running through the break, but we'll be back after that.